Welcome back, everybody, to Operation Tirpitz. This is January 1940, turn 8, the Japanese turn. Before we get started, we will just have a few housekeeping items to take care of. I didn't see these mentioned in either Shadow or Spitfire's video, but I might have missed it. If so, sorry for the redundancy and repeating it, but just real quick. Deathidist on his USA turn was under the impression that he didn't have Big Blue Fleet for his turn 7 move, but he actually did. So I let him know that, and he did decide to change up some of his buys. Namely, he had 10 IPPs at the end of his turn. He spent 8 of those on 2 Marines and saved the other 2. And instead of doing that with those 10 IPPs, what he instead wants to do is start a new carrier for 4, start a new battleship for 5, and save one of those. So we've placed those on the production chart for him, and we've deleted the Marines out of San Francisco. Another thing that he had is that he thought that his light cruiser that was in A30 on escort duty, he mistook that for a destroyer, and so that light cruiser is actually now in A40 with the rest of his fleet down at Panama. And the destroyer that was, he thought he could escort A20 with a destroyer, but that is actually 4 sea zones away from U.S. owned territory. So instead of that destroyer being there escorting it, it is now actually in A30 escorting it. And then I think that's got his housekeeping covered. For Germany, there was one housekeeping item. This militia that's in Belgium was built in Belgium and placed at the end of Germany's last turn. So Festering Europa requires a German unit to be present in all of these land zones at the end of the non-combat phase. So since that militia wasn't built until it placed units phase, Germany didn't actually have that objective completed, and so the free coastal gun that he had put in Picardy has been deleted, and so there are currently only 2 coastal guns there. So I think that has all of the housekeeping covered. Oh, I'm not sure if we actually mentioned this. So Germany did attack Warsaw last turn. A housekeeping item that I thought had been put on the board, but hadn't yet, and I missed it not having been corrected, is that Seb had asked for his infantry, his cav, and his fighter in Warsaw to be moved to East Poland. We got the fighter moved before Germany took its turn, but we didn't get the infantry and cav moved, so that kind of shook up the attack there that Germany did into Warsaw. We were able to get it figured out relatively easy, though, and so Germany now has 3 infantry, a cav, and artillery in Warsaw, and then the British have 3 infantry instead of just 1 in East Poland, and they also have a cavalry in East Poland. So that, I think, there's one final one. This German transport that attacked northern Norway went in port at the end of the German turn. So I think that's finally got all of the housekeeping items. So we will now move to Japan, starting out with tech. Japan rolled for improved construction and heavy armor, and once again missed on both. So the Japanese tech program has decided to take a couple year sabbatical, apparently, but it's all good. We've got some good rolls otherwise so far. For the Japanese buys, Japan is going to be buying, this is January 1940, so we can no longer buy cavalry, but we can buy medium infantry, or not medium infantry, mech infantry, medium armor, and strat bombers. And so Japan will be buying 2 medium tanks for 12. They will be buying 3 militia and 2 militia upgrades for another 10. They will be buying 3 infantry for 9. And they will be buying a minor factory for 8. And then Japan will start construction on 2 new heavy cruisers and place those on the build chart for 10. And we will be saving $1 for the bank. So on to the rest of the Japanese turn. There are several combat moves Japan is making this turn. Just bear with me as I try to get all these put out. So first thing that I'll say is that every single one of these ships is going to be moving into I-12. Let's see, an artillery and a marine are hopping on this transport. Both of these infantry are hopping on this transport. The final transport is picking up the infantry in Bengal, as well as one of the regular infantry in Calcutta. And then all 4 destroyers are picking up the 4 leftover Marines that are in Calcutta. Right. So all of this is moving into I-12. Sub and the British do have a coastal sub in I-12. Since it's by itself, I don't have to designate a screening force. My units can just will still be able to move their full movement despite that coastal sub being there. It does have the option of firing at my ships, though, and forcing a single round of combat in which everything fires at each other. However, Sab declined that combat, given the fact that he'd basically be losing his sub for like a 1/6 chance of it hitting. So he did decline that. So all of these ships are moving into I-12. From there, I'm going to move these like this. So from there, the 2 carriers, the light carrier, all 4 heavy cruisers, and the battle cruiser are moving into P-59. All 3 transports are also moving into P-59. A Marine and artillery are going to be amphibiously assaulting Java. 1 infantry is going to be assaulting Sumatra. 1 infantry is going to be amphibiously assaulting Borneo. The other 2 infantry are going to be joining in the amphibious assault on Java. One of these destroyers, actually 3 of these destroyers are coming down into P-59. There's going to be a Marine going to both Borneo and Java, or Sumatra, and, well, there's a Marine going to all 3 islands here, so 1 to each from that. As far as coastal bombardments go, all 4 heavy cruisers and the battle cruiser are going to be coastally bombarding Java. Now, there is a British coastal sub here, but we have a seaplane in Siam that's going to be coming 1, 2, and going on map in P-59. It's going to be forcing combat with that submarine and causing it to either sink or get have to submerge before it can take any shots at the continuing force. I am also moving all 3 torpedo boat destroyers as well as the 2 light cruisers into P-59 as part of that seaplane screening force. Now, they can't pair with the seaplane, so unless Seb wants the coastal sub 2 get to fire. None of those ships get to fire at it. I'm assuming he's not going to want to do that since he didn't with this one. But if he does, he hasn't gotten back to me on that one. If he does choose to have it fire, we can just easily do that roll afterwards on like Dice Mania or whatever. The results of that aren't going to have any effect on the rest of these battles, because if his sub hits, it's just a TV destroyer that dies, and if one of these ships winds up hitting, then it's his coaster sub's dead. But we'll figure that out before the start of his turn, whether he does want to do that roll or not. The last destroyer with the Marine is, instead of going to P59, it's going 1, 2, 3 into I4, and we'll be taking Aden, how do you pronounce that? The fighter in Siam is going to be assaulting Hong Kong. The TAC bomber is going to be assaulting Borneo, so that's 1, 2, 3, and then it can land on the carrier. The fighter that was on the light carrier is going to be going 1, 2 and attacking British Malaya, and then it can land in Siam. It's going to be joined by another fighter that was on one of the fleet carriers. The final fighter is going to be attacking Sumatra, and it can then land, it can either land on Siam or on a carrier. And the 2 TAC bombers that were in I-11 on the carriers are going to be attacking 1, 2, 3, attacking Java, and they will be landing on the carriers in P59. 2 infantry and a artillery in Kwangtung are joining in on the assault on Hong Kong. The 2 Marines are in Kyushu, are jumping on this transport, and are coming down 1, 2, 3 into P50, and they will be assaulting British Malaya. And they're going to be joined by 2 Marines that are coming from a transport in Kwangtung. So these 2 guys are getting on here, on the transport, going down to P50, and they are joining in on the assault on British Malaya. So, my 2 battleships. So this was something I was not sure about. I did check this with Global War Enthusiast, though, who is involved with the development of the game, and I think is directly connected with like the main developer of the game. What I wasn't sure about was whether coastal artillery have the ability to potentially shoot 3 times at ships crossing, or at ships going over a narrow crossing, and then also in the same player turn shoot 3 times at ships that are conducting an amphibious assault on the territory they're in. I checked with him, though, and he did confirm that coastal artillery are only allowed to shoot a max of 3 times per player turn, regardless of if ships are crossing narrow crossings or if they're amphibiously assaulting. And he said that they're actually going to make sure that they have include a line in the 4.2 version of the rules that clarifies that fact. So with that in mind, my battleships are going to be crossing this narrow crossing into P50, and then they are going to be shore bombarding British Malaya. So technically, Seb has the option of forcing the coastal artillery to shoot at the battleships while they're doing the crossing instead of when they're doing the shore bombarding. He could do that if he wanted to make sure that the hits, any potential hits, have to go on the battleships. However, if there are any hits from this coastal artillery on the shore bombardment phase, I'm just going to put them on the battleships anyway. So we're just going to say that, they go through the narrow crossing free, and then it'll be 3 dice at 3 to roll for the coastal artillery there. Other combat moves, I think all this is fine. The sub that's in P50 or P63 is going to once again raid the East Asian line. The two coastal subs in P50 are going to be raiding the lines in that. The regular submarine in P50 is going to be moving 1, 2, 3 over into I4. It's going to be raiding in that line, or those lines rather. And the sub that is in I3 is moving down 1, 2 over into A54, and it's going to be raiding the lines there. So I do believe that has all of the combat moves declared. So we'll just get to rolling for all of this. I will say real fast, as far as the terrains, because it's kind of hard to tell on this map, I did reference another map just to make sure that I was getting it right. And so what I came to the conclusion based on that map is that British Malaya is a mountain territory, so all 4 of my Marines are only going to be rolling at a 1 there. Java is a mountain territory, so the Marines, or my infantry class units, well, all 5 of these units are going to be suffering the penalty for attacking a mountain in Java. Sumatra is just jungle, so none of my units get debuffed there. Borneo is the one that I'm not entirely sure about. I know Sarawak is a mountain, and it looks like the border between Sarawak and Borneo is a mountain, but it didn't look like Borneo itself. It certainly didn't look like there was a mountain on this border, on the coast, and it didn't look like the actual roundel was as part of a mountain. So I'm going to be rolling those 2 infantry at 2s instead of 1. I will keep track of it though, to make sure if the hit on this militia happens to come from one of these 2, checking to see whether it's a 1 or a 2, and we'll figure out how to correct that if that is actually supposed to be a mountain territory for the entire time. One thing I will say real quick for this seaplane, the seaplane base is in P60, so the seaplane does not get to scramble since I have no units amphibiously assaulting from P60, and the seaplane also does not get to be part of this combat since seaplanes can never be part of land combat. So I will just need the 1 hit to kill this militia and take over this territory. I will need to get 1 hit before the militia gets 2 hits there. So all that being said, we will finally start rolling for this. My seaplane is going to roll out a 3 to see if we kill this coastal sub. So hit 3, roll that. It is a miss. So coastal sub presumably submerges, and we'll, like I said earlier, if he wants it to do a round of combat, then we'll roll that and roll the rest of my ships as well. This naval transport is just auto dead now because he doesn't have any submarine warfare, which I don't have any subs attacking anyway, so it doesn't matter. So the transport's just dead from the screening force. So now we will move on to our combats. We will do Java first. So like I said, all 4 heavy cruisers and the battle cruiser are shore bombarding Java. So we will roll for those first since they have first strike. And so that is 4 2s and a 3. And we got all misses there. So now we will do the actual combat. So he has 2 militia, 2 infantry. So that's 2 at 2, 2 at 4. For the first round, I have 4 at 1 and 2 7s that have target select 3. So 2 7s, 4 1s, and then 2 2s and 2 4s. Alright, so the British missed everything, and the Japanese missed everything. Okay, so now this goes into round 2. And so my artillery does come in and starts participating in the combat now. And that also means not only does it get to roll, it gets to upgrade one of my infantry. So now I have placed one of the ones with a 2 and added a new 2. So round 2. Alright, the British missed everything again. Japanese got 1 non-target select hit. So we'll kill a militia. And we will roll for round 3. Alright, the British got 2 hits. The Japanese got 2 hits. 1 was a target select, but 1 wasn't. So there'll just be 1 militia, 1 infantry dead. We will take 2 hits on our regular infantry, since this isn't the first round anymore. And then we will press. We missed, but so did they. These attack bombers are not having a good day. Everything missed again on both sides. Alright, we finally got that hit, and they missed. So Java becomes Japanese controlled, and we lost 2 regular infantry doing so. Right. So Great Britain goes down 2 on the income chart, and Japan goes up 2. Next up, we will do Sumatra. So I have 2 at 2 and 1 at 6 against 1 at 2. Right. So rolling for that. Misses all around, so round 2. Alright, our fighter hit and the militia missed. So we will take Sumatra without casualty, and Japan will go up 2 again, and Great Britain will go down 2. We will then do Borneo. So we have, once again, 2 at 2 and 1 at 7 against 1 at 2. And so this is the one, like I said, not sure if it's, don't think it's supposed to be a mountain territory, but if it is, I will make sure to check my infantry die, just in case. But we will do round 1. So attack bomber hit, so it's a hit regardless if it's a mountain, and the militia missed. So we will take Borneo without casualty. The seaplane dies, and Japan will go up 2, and Britain will again go down 2. Next, we'll do British Malaya. So coastal artillery does get to fire, and it will fire 3 dice at 3. So we will roll those first. Let's see. All right, 2 hits. So we will take 1 hit each on my battleships. So they are now, where's the damage marker? Damaged ship. I thought there was a damaged ship marker. Might just be missing it, but I'm pretty sure it's around here somewhere. Maybe it's the, yeah, here we are. Alright, damaged hull. So both of these battleships are now damaged, but still alive for now. So it takes care of the coastal artillery. The battleships do get to fire still, but they will be at 2s instead of at 4s. So, oh, we actually got a hit. That's nice for us. That being said, this is a fortified zone, so the British do get to 5 first strikes as well. So we will roll those. Right, so 1 was a miss, 1 was a hit. So one first strike hit on both sides, so we will lose a Marine, the British will lose a militia, and so now for the combat, I will have, this is a mountain, so I have 3 at 1, 2 at 6, and the militia will defend at 4 for round 1, since it's boosted by the fort. So 4 for that, 3 1s, and 2 6s. I guess I swapped the sides on these. Alright, so rolling for this. Alright, our fighters hit and the militia missed. So we will take British Malaya without any further casualties. So the coastal artillery in the fort do all get deleted now. Japan will once again go up 2 on the income chart, and this time the FEC will go down 2. So Japan up 2, FEC down 2 to 7. The last land combat is in Hong Kong. So I have a first strike at 2, and then an additional infantry at 2, and then another infantry, non-boosted infantry at 1, as well as a fighter at 6, and the British infantry will defend at 5. So I'll roll my first strike artillery first, which missed, so now we will roll the rest. So 1 non-boosted infantry, 1 boosted infantry, and a fighter against a city-boosted infantry. Oh, this top die, I'm rolling it again because I selected it, but this top one won't count if it's a hit. Alright, so my fighter hit and the British The British infantry missed. So we will take Hong Kong without casualty, which is very nice. So once more, Japan will go up 2 on the income chart, and FEC will go down 2. At this point, I think the only combat moves I have left are my raiding subs. So we will start with the sub in P63 first. And again, just for the convention, I will have the Japanese die be the one on the left, and the British defending die be the one on the right. So we will roll that. Alright, so I got a 2, but it gets +2 boosted against the 3. So that'll be 1 damage on this line. Making sure he hadn't gotten anti-submarine warfare or radar yet. So it's not. So that is 1 damage on the East Asian line, and we will subtract $1 from the from Anzac. Next up, we will have our 2 coastal subs in P50 raid. And so again, Japanese is going to be on the left, British on the right. So we will roll the first one. And so I do get the +1, so it's just even out, no damage. So we will do the second sub. Alright, so the second sub does a full damage, which is another 1 damage to the East Asian line, which takes Anzac down to $5. And it is 1 damage to the FEC line, which is the Indian Ocean line as well. So that takes care of that. At this point, we would then move over to our sub that is in I4. Again, Japanese die is on the left. So we got a max damage there, which is just 1 damage to the East African line, and that takes away from Great Britain. And then for our final sub rating, we'll come down to A54. And again, Japanese die on the left. Alright, and that is There's a complete failure of a raid there, so no damage, no further damage to this line. We did take a din, so we will move the marker there. And the importance of that is that the FEC wartime bonus requires Aden to be under Allied control, so that takes away their wartime bonus. We also get to add in Japan now owns Java, British Malaya, and Borneo, so 3 tokens here for that. For non-combat moves, both of these fighters came from I-11, and so that is 1, 2 into British Malaya, and then 3, 4 into Anam Tonkin. The fighter that attacked Hong Kong is going to land in Kwangtung. The TAC bombers that came from I-11 and attacked Java have to land on these carriers, so 1 will land on each fleet carrier. The fighter that came down and attacked Sumatra, I'm going to have it land in Siam, I think. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me just, I'll double check that later, but for now we're going to say it's Siam, and if I change it after finishing the video, I'll just put that in housekeeping. The seaplane is going to come off map and go to Siam. The TAC bomber that attacked Borneo from Siam is going to land on the one of the carriers as well, one of the fleet carriers. Oh gosh. Okay, there we go. Yeah, we'll call that good. Other non-combat moves, we do actually need to refer to over here the strategic objective chart. So Japan did take British Malaya, which fulfilled the last zone that it needed in order to fulfill Asia for Asians. And Japan also took Sumatra, Borneo, and Java, and still has control of all of Manchuria, which means that it has the access to resources objective. So access to resources just lets me double my strategic, or, well, it adds 1 strategic rail and naval movement to all zones, and the Asia for Asian objective lets me build a minor factory and a airbase, I think it is. Yes, a minor factory to be placed in one of these zones and a airbase to be placed in one of these zones. Both of those are going to be placed in Anam Tonkin. And then, yeah, possessing all of Manchukuo, Borneo, Java, and Sumatra, we have that, so we get 1 additional strategic movement per turn. So we will, like I said, going to place the minor factory in here, and we're going to place the airbase here as well. For our non-combat moves, the cavalry in Rihi is moving over to Sion. 2 of the infantry that were in Sion are going to strategic rail move down into Kwangtung. And then I've already landed all of my planes. The tech bomber in Kyushu is going to come 1, 2, 3 and land in Rihi. And I think that's got all of the non-combat moves since I've already done the planes. See, I don't think I'm for any of those, so I will place my buys. There's a German submarine still here. Delete that. Alright, so one of the medium tanks and one of the militia are being built in Calcutta. One of the militia upgrades into an infantry is being placed in Kwangtung, as well as one of the militia. The other militia upgrade into an infantry and the final militia are being built in Sion. The medium tank is being built in Rihe. 2 infantry are being built in Kyushu, and 1 infantry is being built in Tokyo. For income, Japan is at 47 and collects plus 12 in wartime bonus. 6 for the Chinese coast, and then 6 for having control of Java, British Malaya, and Borneo. So 47 plus 12, we get to add 59 to our bank, along with the 1 that we saved, means that Japan has 60 IPPs in the bank. So here at the end, just to do a quick recap of units of the important ones for Seb, since he's playing on a game board. In Kwangtung, we have 6 infantry, 2 marines, an artillery, 2 militia, and a fighter. Hong Kong has 2 infantry and an artillery in it. Anon Tonkin has 2 fighters and an airfield. Siam has a seaplane and a fighter. British Malaya has 3 marines. Sumatra and Borneo both have a marine and a regular infantry. Java has 2 marines and artillery. Zone P59 has 4 heavy cruisers, a battle cruiser, 2 fleet carriers, a light carrier, 3 destroyers, 2 light cruisers, 3 torpedo boat destroyers, 3 transports, and 3 attack bombers in it. British Malaya also has 2 Japanese transports that are in port, as well as 2 damaged Japanese battleships in port. At the major dockyard there. Oh gosh, I hit the wrong button. Oopsie. Anyway, alright. All 4 of those are in port. I'll fix it on the save. But they are in port in British Malaya. Calcutta has a militia, a medium tank, and infantry in it. Aden has a marine. I-4 has a destroyer and a raiding sub. And then A-54 has a raiding sub in it. So I think that takes care of everything. And yeah, so we will pass it over to Seb for the British Commonwealth and the Free French turns.